Okay, being 5 p.m., the Lafourche Parish Council meeting of June 13, 2023 is hereby called in order. Ms. Carleen, can you please conduct roll call?
Yes, sir. Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Adams is running late. Mr. Groh is absent. Mr. Melvin.
Here.
Mr. Wendell.
Here.
Mr. Arabi.
Here.
Chairman Oteng.
Here.
Mrs. Chesson.
Here.
Mr. Lorraine. President Chesson.
Thank you very much, Ms. Carleen. If everyone could please rise, we'll be led in the invocation by Councilman Wendell, followed by a pledge of allegiance by Councilwoman Chesson.
As we gather here tonight as elected leaders of Lafourche Parish, we ask that you give us the knowledge and ability to make decisions that benefit the parish for the residents, businesses, and visitors. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow, it's nice to have a full room to hear that Pledge of Allegiance. Start off, we want to thank everyone for coming tonight. We'd like to remind everyone, if you have phones, please put them on vibrate, silence, or turn them off. Also, if you're wishing to address a council, we have blue forms at the entrance. Please get them up to Ms. Carleen to make sure that we recognize you during the meeting. Also, just as a FYI on ordinances, we will ask for public's input on each individual ordinance. And then once we're done with that, the council will discuss and then vote on it. Resolutions, we go directly to the council discussion and vote. So if you plan on speaking on a resolution, please make sure to fill out a card and let us know about it. With that said, we'll jump right into our agenda, which is item A, approval of minutes. Item 1, motion to accept the minutes of the May 2023 regular session. So moved by Councilman Jones, second by Councilwoman Chesson. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 7 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absences. Those absences being Councilman Groh and Councilman Adams. Item B, do we have any state and or federal legislative updates? I don't see any in the audience. Item C, we have none, Ms. Carleen. Item D, certificate of recognition. Item 2, Parish President Archie Chesson to present certificate of recognition to participants of the calendar contest for the Bayou Council. Mr. President, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're going to do this from down here since we have so many of them. And if a lot of you freaked out when you walked into the room, we have a lot of parents and grandparents I know here to see their youngsters get this. But this is the 8th Annual Prevention Partnership Drug-Free Calendar Contest. And we're going to work through our honorable mentions, our second, first place, and then our grandpa's winner. So first we have honorable mention, Spencer LaCalzi. He's like, no. I don't know who that big ugly guy is, but I'm not going to see him.
Good job.
All right, from St. Genevieve, Landry Richard. From Golden Meadow Middle School, Elizabeth Verdon. All right. From South La Rose Elementary, I'm going to mess this up, but Zacharias Taste. Yeah. All right, from St. Joseph Elementary, Miss Cameron LaRousse. Also from St. Genevieve, Miss Annabelle Tutone. All right, now on to our second place winners from St. Mary's Nativity School, Emery Lindley. From Raceland Middle School, Takaya Thomas. Did I get that right? Okay. From Central Lafourche High School, Catherine Bourgeois. From St. Genevieve, Annabelle Naquin. From Golden Meadow Middle, Kylie Guidry. All right, now on the first place from Raceland Lower, Graham Leday. From E.D. White Catholic High, Haley Ellis. From Chagby Elementary, Heidi Luke. All right, from St. Genevieve Catholic School, Isabel Chesson. At least they spelled Chesson right. From Golden Meadow Middle, Marley Roberts. And finally, Mr. Chairman, our grand prize winner from Lafourche High School, Miss Lila Moe.
So just before we take a picture, their gift cards are taped to the front of their envelope, so make sure that they don't lose their gift card. We have calendars for you inside the envelope, but we also have extra calendars if you'd like to grab some before you leave. We're gonna take a group picture and we can stand it on our prevention partnership Facebook page and sign a copy of that. And if they hadn't signed in on my sheet saying they received their gift card, please see me before you leave, okay? Thank you and congratulations to everyone.
So if I can get y'all to squeeze in real quick together, let me get y'all a picture. Miss Merrill and Miss,
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard to tell. Kids don't like to get too tired.
everybody's in the same little here. Y'all ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to say congratulations to all calendar participants, especially to my great niece, Haley.
She's got a big family. There's always a family member in the group from you, Councilman Jones. Congratulations.
They're talented,
Kind
they're
words.
talented.
I got a quick question, Mr. Chairman. We usually get to see a few snapshots, but I don't have a calendar, you know, if we.
Yeah. No, I guess they didn't submit them this year for some reason. We'll wait a minute, let everyone exit. Like the acoustics in there was jam, it was. Okay, we'll continue with the meeting. Congratulations to everyone once again. All right, we'll continue on our agenda. Item F, Legal Advisor Report. We have none tonight. Item G, any engineers, architect reports? All right, Steve, you have the floor first, sir.
I believe we got a couple of slides to pull up, members of the council. There we go. So Stevie Smith with All South Engineers, Mr. Chairman, got a few projects to report on tonight. The first project on our list is our Alador Drainage Project. This is a pump station and some related improvements. I guess, can we go to the next slide, please? Or do I have control? I'm sorry. There you go. I have control. There you go. So this is a pump station project at the back of Alador. The parish installed some new crossings through the railroad tracks. The railroad tracks are shown in this drawing, those dash lines to the top of the drawing. A couple years ago, the parish installed some new discharge pipes through the railroad itself. So the current project is to build the pump station that will then feed into those discharge pipes. So we have 3 30-inch pumps that are part of the project. These are going to fully replace, there's 2 old pump stations at the back of Alador, for those of you who have been back there. We had a design review meeting just before the council meeting with the Public Works Office. We went through a series of comments that the Department of Public Works, excuse me, I'm going to the next one, that they had, which most of those are going to be addressed very quickly. We do need to confirm some data with the pump manufacturers, which we'll do in the next few days. This project is funded by the statewide, or it's partially funded by the statewide flood control program at the state level. The construction cost is about $3.3 million. We believe that, and we have to confirm this number, but I believe there's about $1.3 million available in statewide flood for this. So the parish has got to fund about $2 million of this construction cost, but it's still a pretty good deal when you get the state to chip in, excuse me, a significant amount of money. I expect us to have the plans revised in the next couple of weeks, and then we have to submit it to the state to get authorization to put it on the street. So I believe this project will be out to bid in the July timeframe. Okay. I'll move on to the next one if there's no questions, Mr. Chairman. The next one that we have is a drainage project in Des Allemands. So this image shows Bayou Road along the bayou in Des Allemands on the Lafourche side. So the project consists of some drainage improvements along Bayou Road. Again, for those of you who've been there, we have water that pools alongside the edge of the bulkhead in that part of the world on a regular basis. So this project includes regrading the road in a couple locations and then putting in some new subsurface drainage that's going to bring the water both to the south, to the pump station, also to the north to an existing drainage slough. We got some plans that we delivered to Department of Public Works, our preliminary plans that are under review. We've broken the project into 2 phases. Phase 1 is the area south of Highway 90. Phase 2 is the area north of Highway 90. You can see the estimated construction cost for that is about $770,000. We have not had a review meeting with Department of Public Works yet, but I'm sure they're going to have some comments on the preliminary plans. So we've got a little bit more work to do on this one before it's ready to go out to construction. The third project I'll report on is the Matthews Trailhead project. So this is a project to do some improvements in front of the building here. The parish applied for a grant a few years ago through something called the Transportation Alternatives Program. And received the grant. The gist of this project is to realign the parking, install some drainage swales in the parking lot, basically grassy areas, pull up some of the concrete, put some grassy areas in there, put in some subsurface drainage. It also includes doing a plaza area to the front, which on this drawing is a little bit to the right of center. So there's an area where there'll be some benches, some landscaping, a little beautification in this part of the world. As part of this project, which is what that Transportation Alternative Program funding is about. It's taking areas and providing areas along the parish where folks can, while they're traveling, can stop and hang out for a little while and also do some beautification so you don't have as much just impervious concrete everywhere. This project has been delivered. The final plans have been delivered to the parish. The construction cost is estimated about $363,000. This is an 80-20 match by the state. State's going to put up 80%. The parish is going to put up 20% of those dollars. We do not have authorization from the state to go out to bid yet, but those plans are ready for that. The next project on my list is the rehabilitation of the Home Place pump station. So this station was damaged in Hurricane Ida. There was a damage assessment done after Hurricane Ida. We augmented that with a more detailed damage assessment. We provided that to the parish. The parish is negotiating additional eligibility for damages to this station with FEMA. The construction cost that's in the original damage assessment is about $917,000, but we're a little bit on hold waiting for FEMA to determine whether what we're requesting is eligible hurricane-related costs. Okay? And then the last project I'll talk about is the Bayou Vista Drainage Project. So this is along Bayou Vista Drive in central Lafourche. The project basically consists of some drainage improvements along the street, a proposed new pump station at the rear of the street, and some other features that are going to help manage the drainage in this area. This area has seen some repetitive loss claims in it. The parish applied for some Louisiana Watershed Initiative dollars a year or so ago and was awarded a grant. That grant's in the value of about $1.2 million. The parish council just approved this agreement in last month, so we have a kickoff meeting scheduled for next week with Public Works Department to really get that project going. And I believe, Mr. Chairman, that's my last one.
Thank you very much for updates on the projects. Any questions? Councilman Melvin, you have the floor.
I just wanted to thank Steve for all his hard work and the parish president, his administration, for the proposed pump station on Bayou Vista, because I've been down there more than once when it's been flooded in my years sitting in this chair, and it's going to be some needed relief. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions for Stevie? Thank you, Stevie. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Good evening, John Plaisance with GIS Engineering, 16878 West Main Street in Cutoff. We'll start with the Butch Hill Pump Station. We're getting close to finishing on this. Noticed that the parish had some funds in capital outlay on this, so congratulations on that. We're finished at 95% set of plans and specs, and the coastal use permit is anticipated to be approved in the next couple of months. So after that, we'll hopefully have all the funding in place and be ready to advertise for bids. The Ludovine Pump Station, again, this is actually a North Lafourche Levy District project, but y'all are all very interested in this. We actually took bids on this morning. The bids came out about 10% over our estimated cost. So the North Lafourche Levy District is looking at that, and I'm sure they'll be getting together with Dylan and Archie on that in the next week or so. Valentine Pontoon Bridge rehab. Again, we're about 95% through. We have had comments from DOTD and y'all staff, and we are incorporating those. Again, I mentioned the RAISE grant last month. We attended some training a couple of weeks ago to aid y'all throughout the funding receipt process, because as y'all know, the federal funds are nice, but they come with lots of strings attached and lots of paperwork to be filled out. Grand Bayou Freshwater reintroduction. We submitted that preliminary design package to the staff and is currently reviewing that, but we also have some preliminary results from some additional analysis required because of post-IDA channel conditions. The waste collection facility, I think I'd mentioned that last month, that the spot we picked out happened to have a huge layer of trash underneath it. So we are looking to see what can and can't be done. I know we had a meeting with Dylan and Archie last week to discuss some of those options. DEQ has no record of this landfill ever existing, so that is kind of a plus that we won't have to. Hopefully they won't bother us too much with what we decide to do, but we'll move forward with that as we can. Hurricane Ida pump station rehabs, we have 6 of those pump stations that we're looking at for y'all. We've pretty much gotten all the preliminary stuff in and kind of waiting on FEMA to go through it. As Stevie had mentioned, they can be quite slow at times, FEMA. Of course, that's part of the reason is they have lots of stuff to do. The LWI grant for the emergency backup pumps, all that's been delivered. So this will probably be the last time y'all see this. But the 424-inch and 430-inch hydraulic pumps and drives are in y'all hands. North Barrios Street drainage improvements, we've done the field surveying, we've done the modeling. So we've got a plan put together. We just have to put it on paper to deliver it to y'all. We should have that by the end of the week. Unisolomon Pump Station rehab, we are working on that design now. I know today we came up with a preliminary layout, so again, we're going to put that on paper and get that to Dylan as soon as we can, which should be this week or next. The elevated boardwalk, the survey is done. We and ALOS have applied for the permit to do the soil borings. We haven't gotten that yet, but in the meantime, we haven't identified any funding sources for that yet. It's going to be a $2 million project, so we're looking for funds to get that done so y'all can move forward with that project. And again, the current boardwalk extends about 400 feet into that wetland area. Phase 2 will bring it to Company Canal, and we hope to have a little facility there for resting and admiring the waterway. And then Phase 3 would loop back around to the front. That's it.
All right, anyone have any questions? Councilman Wendell, you have the floor.
The garbage transfer station, is it still a possibility to have it at that site? Okay,
Yeah, we're hoping to have it somewhere on that site.
okay, thank you.
One question, when's the next milestone, if that's anywhere on the horizon for the Valentine Pontoon Bridge? I mean, I know y'all going through all this training, and it's been a slow-moving process, but when would be the next major?
The next major, there are several steps. Each of them are going to take between 2 and 6 months. There are probably like 6 or 7 of those steps, but they can be running concurrently. Which one finishes next, it's hard to say, but we're hoping to get them all done by the end of the year or early next year and be able to advertise in the spring.
All right, so spring of next year, hopefully. All right, thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
Hopefully it'll be before that, but that's kind of what we're anticipating.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank y'all.
Do we have any other engineer and/or architect reports? That's it? All right. Brings us to item H, public wishing to address the council, public hearings, agenda items, et cetera. Ms. Corleen.
Mr. Alvin Nakkin, if you'd come to the podium, sir, state your name and address for the record. Please remember you have,
485 Waverly.
you have 3 minutes, Mr. Nakkin. Could you repeat your name and address, please?
Alvin Duncan, 485 Waverly
Thank you.
Road. I talked to State Rep Bryant Fatno. State Rep says the problem I'm having with the Purple Martins is a parish problem. Now, these Purple Martins, the guy put 2 poles up with 16 nesting boxes last year. This year we went to 4 poles. Now there's 30 nesting boxes. And you know a wife, when something poops on her brand new vehicles and her new house, and we're gonna have problems, huh? Uncalled for problems at that. That's what I'm asking. Maybe if we can compromise, take 2 of them poles down, put them to the east of the property that he has, the guy, because he has 40 acres in Washington Parish. Take that up there maybe. But getting back to where I was, if we can take 2 of the poles down and leave 2 poles up, it's still going to have 16 nesting boxes. Times, I don't know how many eggs hatches, because last year there were 90 birds on that high line that I dealt with. And you just get bird poop everywhere. It's uncalled for, you know. I guarantee you, if it was me that causing that problem, they wouldn't have to come up here and beg y'all. Because I'm bright enough to know it's a problem. I wouldn't give anybody problems like that. But I let God handle everything. But I need y'all help. It's not asking for much because, you know, putting 2 poles and you're still going to have 16 birdhouses on the east side of the property. And on the east side of the property, our property is 100 wide. And on the east side of the property, there's no buildings. They'll poop, and they might poop before they get in there, you know, where I don't have to deal with it. I'm not saying I won't have any, but it sure would be a relief not to have that much. Like little mini mines all over your stuff that you own, even barbecue pits and stuff. I really appreciate your help if you can do something with it. And the ones that don't want help, I'll pray for them.
Is it Mr. Nuckin? Are you finished, Mr. Nuckin?
Well, I'm finished with that, but I want to go to Mr. Jones about
Just remember, you're addressing the chair now. You're addressing me.
Well, how come, I like
You
to
can
look
address,
people
because
in
we're
the
not,
eye.
because we're not getting into debates. You address the chair, and then he can answer any questions you
I
have.
never had to do that before.
Mr. Nakin, as
I understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying I never had to do that before.
okay, so your 3 minutes are up. You want to quickly comment?
I want 3 more minutes. Somebody?
Anyone wants to relinquish
Anyone.
3 more minutes? You have something else to talk about? All right, Mr. Lorraine's going to give you 3 more minutes. 3 minutes.
I want to discuss the water in Waverly.
Okay.
Mr. Jones been in there a long time as councilman. That same water problem still exists today. There was a man up here by the name of Mr. Rose 2.5 years ago. We got everything that reaches with a little rain full capacity. Even the retention pond's running over. I just want an update from him from 2.5 years ago, what was done up to date, to this date.
Okay, so are you finished now, Mr. Nakin? We'll try attempt to address some of your issues. Good? Okay, Mr. Melvin.
Yes, sir. Real quick, I'll just throw this, and maybe it'll help you, okay? But 2 things. Memphis Net Company. I order net from Memphis Net Company, and I put it over my blackberry bushes so the birds don't eat them all, okay? And it's just wild birds. My neighbors don't have a bunch of houses like this. It's like 75 feet by, 10, 12 feet. It's like $30. It's a lot of netting, okay? It's lightweight, but might help you with some of the bird issues and flying here and there. The other thing I'll recommend is, you mentioned some droppings falling on the cars and such.
Lots of dropping.
Okay, so this is a fact. I don't know what state it's in, but it's a fact that might be Louisiana. There was 2 neighbors, and one of them had a cat. And that cat kept getting on that Mercedes next door and ended up costing the cat owner $50,000 in a new paint job. So all I'm suggesting is Net Company, and you may have some litigation, possibly, I'm not a lawyer, if you have a problem to damage the property due to these droppings, which of course can be acidic.
And you know, the droppings are very hazardous. If you look it up, it causes lung cancers and everything.
Well, that's just
So there's another issue there health-wise, you know. This more about your main part of it. You know, I have a son who's 44 years old, full-blown autism that I raise. And let me tell you, that's not an easy job.
Okay, very good. Does anyone have any comments on the water issue in Waverly? DPW, Mr. Jones, you want to?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, we've been working on this problem for a while. It's a continuous problem, but work has been done, and water drainage has improved. I mean, if he getting water and drainage, I'd like to know where he's flooding at.
The whole neighborhood's flooding. Everything is at top capacity. Every time we had this last couple of Saturdays ago in this rain, everything. I lived there. I see it. Most time when people don't live somewhere, that's nothing to them. That don't mean nothing to them.
I beg to differ because I lived on Waverly.
You're not living there now.
Okay,
I lived on Waverly every day for the last 50 years.
Let me
okay,
ask you this.
all right, okay.
And
So, Mr. Jones,
for,
finish what you have to say.
So for the Purple Martin, you got it out with your neighbors. You want this council to come up here and say, you want to order them to take out of the 4 poles, 2 poles down. Because the birds are pooping on your property.
Let me tell you.
Mr.
Let me
Nakin,
ask you this.
Mr. Jones has the floor.
Where Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones has the floor, sir.
The other two poles that you want to leave with the housing, the birds don't poop. That's what you're telling us.
No, I said take them down.
So
Let me tell you.
Okay.
Let me tell you where the problem is.
Mr. Dillon, you have any comments with respect to the Waverly flooding?
No, I don't. We have done some work there in the last 2 years. Like Mr. Noggin talked about, Mr. Jones agreed with, that we did the work there. If you have any pictures of any flooding, please send them to me. We'll take a look at it again.
There's hundreds of pictures.
So hold on, Mr. Noggin.
I know there were some issues with the back ditch. We actually met on site, looked at it. There was some issues with the retention. I think that was just a very large storm. We did meet with the developer when they designed that subdivision. They do have a lot of capacity. I think that was just an overwhelmed rain event, but we will look at it again. We're happy to entertain that. Again, if you have any pictures that support it, please send them to us and we'll look at it.
Thank you, Dillon. So Dillon has asked if you could just get him any pictures, any specifics, he'll try to assist.
There's hundreds of pictures about all that water. Not only me. There's people from other places.
Okay, and you forwarded those, because he just asked you for them, so
Yeah.
apparently you haven't forwarded them to him.
Yeah,
Have you sent them to him?
I got pictures.
Have you sent them to him? He just asked you for the pictures.
I showed Dylan the pictures already.
Okay, he just
Dylan
asked you
came to
for
my
pictures.
house. I showed him
Anything
pictures.
new in the last 2 years? You said the problem consists. Is there anything new in the last 2 years?
Yeah, I have some new pictures.
Send me those, please.
I will.
Thank
Okay,
you.
very good. All right. That's the end of your time, Mr. Nakhan. If you got anything else, you can come to what you got.
But Mr. Jones, what he was talking about was with the neighbors. When you're going to have a 75-year-old lady go out there and start pulling up your survey pickets,
That's civil issues.
well,
That's
no,
that's
but
not
what
for
I'm
government
saying is,
intervention. That's a civil issue that you have,
I
Mr.
handled my
Nakhan.
business over there. I handled my business.
Understood. From our perspective, I'll give you a quick. From our perspective, 75% of our complaints are neighbor versus neighbor. They're civil issues. They are civil issues, not for government intervention.
But you got to remember, Mr. Otan, some of us are great neighbors, and we got to deal with the who's of the neighborhood.
Gotcha. Thank you, Mr. Nakhan. Appreciate it. Next,
Good
Ms.
night,
Carlene.
guys.
Mr. Zamarian, am I right? I'm sure I'm not. ZZ Loop. I just know him as ZZ. State your name and address for the record, Z. Remember, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Zemaria Loop. My address is 141 Kramer Bayou Road. Myself and the people who've come here today have concerns about the well-being of Lake Buff, which has been a staple for our community and our culture for as long as we can remember. Lake Buff has always been used by the public for many generations, but we have never had much say in what happens with the wildlife and natural vegetation there. Because this lake is an important part of our community, we would like to know what the parish could do to influence whether or not the lake is sprayed and how often the spraying occurs. With that, I am aware of the statements made by officials about the worms and the bugs tearing up the American lotus. However, none of us, including the older generation, have seen worms kill an entire lake of Granite Valleys that fast. It happened almost overnight. We've always had lotus-boring worms for as long as we had the American lotus, and we've even seen some in the seeds of the Granite Valleys, but never to this devastating effect or this severity. What can be done to ensure the health of our American lotus going forward? Is there any precautions that we could be taking to help prevent this kind of problem from happening again? Regardless of what caused the die-off, whether it was spraying or bugs, we need to find a way to ensure this problem doesn't happen again. Because this issue is directly impacting the community you represent, we would like to ask the council to identify ways that you all could be more engaging with the landowners, vegetation management officials, to help keep the lake accessible, thriving, and available to the communities who have loved it for so long. I know y'all don't have any answers now, but we would like to ensure this issue is faced head on, where we could find updates about actions taken on the issue, and who can we follow up with to stay involved in the process.
So I have a quick question. That's Lake Buff is a state water bottom. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah, and part of it's a wildlife management area, so it's all done through the Office of Conservation and Wildlife Fisheries.
So I only say that because when I sat with the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Secretary, of course, I think he just resigned. But anyway, he left me with the impression that the state would love to have local entities that would govern the state water bottoms. For instance, in Lake Fields, you have the Lafourche Game and Fish Commission. And they would love to have local jurisdictions assist them in managing those state resources. So I would encourage a group, if there's a group that wants to take this on, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I would encourage them to engage Wildlife and Fisheries to start a group that handles basically just Lake Buff.
So, Mr. Chairman, what we've done is working with Representative Fontenot, right? He's the one who's got the answers from the aquatic guys about the weevils and kind of the initial die-off. But what we've asked Assistant Secretary Patrick Banks to do is actually send the conservation guys down here and do a town hall meeting in Bayou Buff at the fire station, preferably, so you guys in the community can talk about what's going on in the lake. And then working with Representative Fontenot going into next year's legislative session to either see if we incorporate the lake into the Lafourche Game and Fish Commission, or if we have to create we'd have to create a Lake Buff Game and Fish Commission, right? And then it would allow that commission to somehow generate fees to actually deal with the lake, similar to what we do in Lake Fields and Lake Long. So that's more of a long game, but in the next probably 30 or 40 days, we're trying to get them down here to actually do a town hall meeting and kind of answer a lot of those questions.
If you don't mind, let the record reflect Councilman Adams entered chambers at 17:34 hours. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, having a local group to manage, I mean, essentially manage it in terms of times of hunting and things. But I know that part of that wildlife management area is going to be a little more tricky. But the open area that's by state water bottoms, it'd be nice if it was a local group that handled that, from my perspective.
If I may, Wildlife and Fisheries controls the WMA, which is 600 to 800 acres along the Terrio Canal. It's not actually in the lake. Half the lake on the Lake Buff side is owned by Acme Land and Timber. The other half of the lake is owned by the state of Louisiana itself. So if that helps any of y'all with any kind of information that you need.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it does. But I would definitely encourage, so you're saying that Brian is going to engage a group to, because a local commission is the way to go from my perspective, because like in back of Lake Fields, which now I quit going to Lake Buff once Lake Fields started coming up with grass, and now we're looking good here, and it's vice versa. But I know that situation, that setup is an ideal situation. So I would definitely encourage a group to engage State Representative Fontenot.
Okay. Just to be clear, where can we follow you along with this?
So State Representative Brian Fontenot.
Yeah, right, but like Facebook, is it going to be an email sent out, or?
I don't play on Facebook, so I'm not sure.
When we schedule a town hall, we'll figure out how to get it, but it's little Bayou Buff gets that Facebook page.
Okay.
Or something like that. We'll figure out how to get it out to you guys.
Thank you.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Ryan LaRousse, if you come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Please remember you have 3 minutes. Is that about the same thing, Mr. LaRousse, that Z
Yes,
talked
ma'am.
about?
Ron LaRousse, 23121 South Rosary Street in Vacherie, Louisiana. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for allowing us to speak. I'm actually from St. James Parish. This lake has been an important part of my life since I'm able to walk, hunted in this lake and everything else, fished in this lake. I think ZZ hit on a lot of good points. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate what you said about forming a commission. That's exactly what I was going to say. I really think we need to get a hold, because with this, what happened this weekend, I think it caused a lot of confusion with who controls this lake. Is it Wildlife and Fisheries, Lafourche Parish, Acme, somebody said a helicopter with energy.
That's what started it.
What is it? I think we all need to get on the same page.
Agreed.
I was talking to a gentleman here. He said Friday, the helicopter sprayed him while he was in the lake. So we need to get a hold on this, where it's going. Mr. Shasson, appreciate that a meeting will be held. If you can like I said, I'm from Vacherie, I'm from St. James Parish. This affects a lot of people. It's not just Lafourche. A whole array of people come from everywhere to hunt this lake, and generations. So if you can get this out to where we can meet up and go over this, it would be much appreciated. And like I said, this is the first step of something that's been needed. And one of the elephants in the room is, why has this lake been dead for 5 years? Don't come and say, oh, it's a bug that attacked it now. This lake's been dead for 5 years now. And what's causing it? Was it the weevil 5 years ago, whatever it is? Well, if it's the weevil now, let's get in there and control it, but of course, this isn't for you to decide. This is where we need to get Wildlife and Fisheries, DNR, whoever it is, in the same room and address the comments we have. So
Agreed.
I appreciate all of you guys again. Thank you.
Agreed. Thank you.
Mr. Clamo, if you'd come to the podium, sir, state your name and address for the record. Please remember you have 3 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Colt Clemon, 214 Choctaw Road, Thibodaux, Louisiana. Same thing, Lake Buff. I grew up. That's one of my childhood memories. That lake was always gorgeous and beautiful, and we enjoyed it. And I seen it this year come back. I was pumped, man. I ain't gonna lie. I was ready for teal season, man. I was ready to go hunting. And then to have it. I know Wildlife and Fisheries said it wasn't sprayed on their post, but we got witnesses that way in the lake got sprayed by the actual helicopter. My only take on it, these guys made a lot of good points. I'm excited that they're going to form something, or they're going to form, hopefully a commission to run the lake and manage it. Is that, like, if I go during hunting season, say, and not that I do, but say something like I killed something illegally, I got to pay restitution. If they killed this lake, is there going to be reprimands where they got to plant this lake back and make sure that it comes back right? If we can find out who did this, and that's my only take on it. Can we get them to fix what they destroyed?
I can tell you when private entities have destroyed government lands, they've required the private entities to restore it, yes. However, as my phone blew up like everyone else, I thought it was ridiculous that anyone be in there spraying. So it's hard to believe in my wildest dreams that someone would be in there spraying, because that makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
So that was my first impression when I saw it. I was like, there's no way somebody would be in there spraying. That would just be nuts.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got witnesses that had it happen. You know, they
Yeah.
was
And,
under the
and I had
helicopter.
family that called me, said that they saw that, someone said it was Friday, and someone had told me that on the Monday prior, they saw the lake already like that. So we all hear different things.
Yeah, absolutely. But man.
Look, we all lived and breathed, and I'm probably half of us up here. I know Terry, but we all Lake Buff. I've over 40 years hunting there, so I know.
Yeah.
I feel your pain, believe me.
Yeah.
We hear you loud and clear. But I will say once again that the Secretary of Wildlife and Fisheries was very receptive to having local commissions manage the local areas. And I engaged them on this very subject in terms of permanent blinds, temporary blinds, times they need to hunt. So Wildlife and Fisheries is very receptive on having local jurisdiction on their state water bottoms. I'm not sure about private entities, how that works. But
Yes, sir. And then and like the guy before me said, the lake's been dead for a while now, and
It has.
we have seen wildlife and fishery airboats in there spraying, and we've asked them if they could just spray the canals, not the lake. And personally, asked them, and they're like, "Well, we're getting paid to spray this, so we're gonna spray it." And like in the Wildlife and Fisheries' letter, there's no herbicide that specifically targets one thing, right? So when you're spraying the lilies, it's killing everything else, the hydrilla, the granivolaes, and that's why I believe that lake has diminished over the years. So seeing it come back was a glimpse of hope, and I hope that we can restore that.
yeah, we're all in agreement on that one. So,
And
yeah.
I appreciate y'all time and efforts.
Go ahead, Bo.
Yeah, and thank you all for coming. I contacted a person I know, a local DEQ person, and they said, that they don't have anything to do with the pesticides, but he said it's regulated by the Department of, and some of this may have been repeated on Facebook, I'm just telling for those who don't know.
Yeah.
It's regulated by the Department of Agriculture, and if anyone out there is spraying, it's likely Wildlife and Fisheries, but only for hyacinths, not under submerged aquatics, which is what these grandivolets are. And only pesticides that kill and cost a fortune, and Wildlife and Fisheries is not supposed to be purposely destroying the habitat. I'm not saying they are suggesting it. It's just, some of this stuff is kind of a head scratcher, because when the lake started to die, everybody noticed.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was salinity coming up from Lake des Amans or somehow that way, but it didn't take long, but, and then it started to die again. This is kind of news here, so I would like to keep it local if possible.
Yeah.
Because while you could call the Environmental Protection Agency, I think that's one of those agencies that needs to be abolished, because they come in and they want to close the lake.
Yeah, I want to shut everything
No
down.
access.
Yeah.
That's how they operate, right?
Yeah, we don't want to do that. We want to preserve it for future generations.
So thank you all for definitely coming, because
Yeah.
sometimes we don't go back there regularly. Some do, some don't, but, so a lot of people don't know.
I would just like to see it good for my kids on someday,
Yeah, agreed. Look, my history, when Bo reached out to me a few days ago, the first thing I told him was either Wildlife and Fisheries or Corps Engineers. Those are the two that do the outfalls, what I call outfalls. Bayou Lafourche is sprayed by the Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District in conjunction with the parish, and I can tell you that when they spray, it's non-discriminate. Everything dies
Yeah.
when they hit the bayou. So, and without doing that, as you get further south, especially in the Lockport, Valentine, even some in Raceland, I mean, you can almost walk across the bayou without them doing that. So it is very important. Mr. Araby, you have the floor.
Yeah, you're right, Chairman, about the Lake Buff area, because I've been there quite a few times, and throughout my lifetime, and we hunted together, a bunch of us, and I want to thank all of y'all for coming out there and expressing your opinion about that lake, because a lot of people use that lake, and you're right, it has been dead for a couple of years. There's hardly anything going on in it. I think the fish are coming back again a little bit, but again, thank y'all for coming, and like Chairman said, maybe we get a little commission together where we can try to get some more control on that lake.
That would be much appreciated, and I thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Mr. Wendell.
I want to thank you guys, Z, and everybody for coming out. You guys obviously have a lot of passion for this area, a lot of memories that you want to carry forward for generations. I just ask that once we work through the state and everything with these things, and if there are any boards or commissions that come from it, that you guys keep that same passion during that time.
We will.
Step up and, make it what you remember and what you want to move forward. So thanks for coming, and please bear with us, and we'll hopefully get through it.
Thank y'all very
Good
much.
deal. Thank you.
Mr. Jace Andrews?
You got it.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank
Jace.
you, Dog.
Is that it? All right, thank you very much, Ms. Carleen. We'll continue on with the agenda. I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Jones to deviate to item 33, resolution. Is that your motion, Mr. Jones? Do I have a second for that motion? Second by Councilman Adams. Any discussion on that motion to deviate? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Grow. Item 33, resolution authorizing road sales tax district of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, proceed with the issuance of its not to exceed $16,700,000 of revenue refunding bonds, providing certain terms of said bonds, making application to the State Bond Commission for approval of said bonds, appointing bond counsel, independent registered municipal advisor, and underwriter placement agent, and providing for other matters and connections therewith. Moved by Councilman Winter for the administration, second by Councilman Jones. Discussion. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I know it is in the agenda summary, guys, but Jim and Mr. Harrell have been working on this with Marcus. As we noted during the tax reform process, once we consolidated the 2 road districts into one, we had to consolidate the bonds that both of those 2 road sales tax districts have. So this bond issue is going to pay off the old bonds under the old separate road districts and issue new bonds under the consolidated road district. Not bonding out any additional money, still going to be paid off in 2027 like we were supposed to initially. This is just to move everything under that consolidated road district.
Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, I just want to see, when all this happened, we were shorted 4 years on the tax call. Drainage District 5 was shorted 4 years, 1 was shorted, and road sales tax 2 and A was shorted 4 years. I think it was wrong. I don't think it was done right, and that's just my opinion, and I'll never vote to bond anything out for this.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Any further discussion on this item before we bring it to a vote? No one has any questions? Being none, we'll bring it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes with 7 yeas, 1 nay, that nay being Councilman Lorraine, and 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Grove. With that said, I have a motion to return to regular agenda by Councilman Jones, second by Councilman Adams. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Grove. Brings us back to item I, public hearing and ordinances for ratification. I entertain a motion to open public hearing. So moved by Councilman Jones, second by Councilman Adams. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passed with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Grow. Item 4, ordinance approving the dededication of the drainage and maintenance servitude agreement between Blair and Cindy Plaisance and Lafourche Parish government located in Ward 10, District 8 of Lafourche Parish, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Ms. Chesson for the administration, second by Councilman Jones. Would anyone from the public like to comment on item 4? Second call for public input on item 4. Last and final call. Anyone want to comment on ordinance number 4 from the public? There being none. Anyone from the council? Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, I just want to say that the East Drainage Project is completed. It's completed or not? The East Drainage Project.
Does anyone have an answer on if the East Drainage Project is complete?
Phase 1 is complete.
Phase 1 is complete according to DPW.
But this was involved with this right of way. They were involved with some of that, right?
That is correct.
And so now he's getting back his right of way.
So it's a
It's only
temporary
been
right away.
about 8 months.
Very good. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, the absence being Councilman Grow. Item 5, ordinance approving amendment number 1 to the lease agreement between Tarpon Heights LLC and Lafourche Parish government for a temporary storefront to serve as a South Lafourche library, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any all relevant documents. Moved by Ms. Chesson for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Anyone from the public would like to comment on item 5? Second call, public input, item 5. Last and final call. Anyone from the public would like to comment on item 5? Anyone from the council? Mr. Lorraine.
Yes. August 29th gives us 2 years that Ida has hit. And so who's paying for this? The library is paying to rent this out?
Does anyone have the answer to that, Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Don't you think the president of the library board or the one that's in charge should be here tonight?
As their liaison, I'm here, Mr. Lorraine.
Huh?
I'm the liaison, and I'm here.
Oh, you did liaison. That's true. Y'all
That's right, I
fired me and you took my
That's
place.
right. Yes, sir.
I
Sure
forgot
did.
about that.
Do it again in half a heartbeat, too.
But anyway, when you do something temporary, it becomes permanent. Remember that. it's hard. Once you do it temporary, it's hard to reverse it back to where it was at. So here you're going to go rent a building, temporary, on the side of the building that is owned by the parish that should have been fixed by now. But the roof is coming. It's coming. So my question would be, are they opening up a library here? What are they doing?
Do anyone know, is it going to be a full-out library?
So it's going to have some books and then some computer facilities like the old one had. It's not going to be as big and fancy. It's not going to have as many books, but they're still running the bookmobile down there to move stuff around, DVDs, audiobooks, stuff like that.
Well, the bookmobile, we didn't just get hit at South Lafourche. We got demolished in Golden Meadow. We lost 2 libraries. But yet you spent $15 million in Thibodaux, $3.5 million in Lockport, and here we are with an empty building. But yet we're going to rent a building for probably forever, I guess. We'll never get the libraries we had before. Never. It will never happen.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Mr. President?
I would be more than happy to pull this off the agenda and Mr. Lorraine not have a library in his area if that's what he's asking for. But, you know, if we're going to grandstand, because it's an election year, I get it, right? The South Lafourche Levy District is still not in their building. The Port Commission is still not in their building.
No.
There are multiple businesses that are still not in their building 2 years later, right? We've had to work through every FEMA process. You guys have gone into executive session and allowed us to pursue litigation against the insurance company because they've yet to pay for anything except for the remediation work that was done in that building. We saved 95% of the artifacts out of the Golden Meadow Museum that we didn't have to do. So I get that he's going to throw us under the bus because it's an election year, and I get it. You can do that, Mr. Lorraine, if you really want to, but it's coming, right? We could not do this agreement and not have anything for the people of South Lafourche, right? But working with the library board, working with their director, we came up with a sensible solution to get something back down there. And I appreciate Councilwoman Chesson sponsoring the item so we can actually get it on the agenda. And we're working towards a more permanent solution. But if we don't want anything down there, I'm cool with that. We'll pull it. But
I didn't say I didn't want nothing. I want back what we have. And we'll never get that. And you know that. You know that. You can say what you want. You can scream. You can holler. You know that. We had a one-stop shop for the people of South Lafourche, and some of Central Lafourche came there, Lockport. We had the DA. We had the register of voters, the assessor, the clerk of court, the permits, the community act. We had everything. You know what we got now? Zip. We got to travel. These people's got to travel to here or Thibodaux to get assistance. And the gas is $4 a gallon, aren't you? You don't worry about poor people. You just worry about the high polluting people.
Councilman Lorraine, let's reel this back in. So
no, I'm not finished.
So listen, the discussion is ordinance approving amendment number 1 to the lease agreement between Tarpon Heights and the South Lafourche Library. That's the debate. That's what we're talking about. Not all this other stuff about do we want to move forward with the South Lafourche Library's temporary storefront or not?
I'm not for nothing temporary. I can tell you that right now.
But my point being, that's a discussion. You got to make your case for the council to vote for or nay. That's a discussion.
I'm not for nothing temporary. I want it back the way it was. Port Commission opens tomorrow. All that work opens tomorrow. You mean to tell me?
Understood. But are you for this or you're against this?
I'm not voting for it.
Okay. So let council.
But that makes no difference.
Okay.
I just want to put back the library what we had. We got 2 of them that has been demolished.
Understood.
Well, the one down the bar has been demolished real bad. But yet, they're fixing buildings in the northern part of the parish, but still not the south. Right. And we got hit the hardest.
Understood, but I want to keep it specific to this.
No, that's fine.
All right. Can I let Councilwoman?
You're not changing my mind.
All right. Councilwoman Chesson, you have the floor, ma'am.
Yes, so since Hurricane Ida, on Tuesdays, the library's been at the Cutoff Youth Center. Community Action's been also meeting there because they didn't have the library open. So with renting this space next to where the library used to be, the library will be open Monday through Friday, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Monday through Friday, they'll be open. They'll be available for people to go there instead of 1 day a week at the Cutoff Youth Center in a little space at the youth center. So they will be there until our big building gets put back, which it will be put back because Head Start is going there as well, and our kids will be back at Head Start. Our library will be back. They are building back. But it takes time, Daniel. That storm took out everything down there, and we're coming back.
You know, I'm going to agree with you that it takes time, but it shouldn't take forever.
Well, and this isn't forever, it's not forever, but it is coming back.
Thank you, Councilwoman Chesson. Okay, you ready to move this to a vote?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
You like, all right, you like what's still, all right. Any further discussion? There being none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 7 yeas, 1 nay, that nay being Councilman Lorraine, and 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Grow. Good, Ms. Carleen? All right, item 6, ordinance approving a lease agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Our Lady of the Rosary Catholic Church to utilize a field for recreational activities and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Ms. Shestlin for the administration, second by Councilman Adams. Would anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance number 6? Second call, anyone from the public, ordinance 6. Last and final call, anyone wants to comment on the ordinance at item 6? Anyone from the council? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grove. Item 7, ordinance approving civic source to publicly advertise and auction educated property located at 107 Myrtle DeLone Street, Lockport, Louisiana 70374. Assessment number 0041449836 due to non-payment of ad valorem property tax and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any all relevant documents. Ms. Chesson will move on behalf of the administration. Second by Councilman Adams. Would anyone from the public like to comment on item 7? Second call for public input, item 7. Last and final call, anyone want to comment on the ordinance at item 7? Anyone from the council? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone against? Motion passed, 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grove. Item 8, ordinance approving civic source to public advertise and auction educated property located at 2237 Highway 308, Thibodaux, Louisiana 70301. Assessment number 0052833700 due to non-payment of ad valorem property taxes and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Adams for administration, second by Councilman Jones. Would anyone from the public like to comment on item 8? Second call, anyone from the public, ordinance at item 8. Last and final call for anyone from the public, item 8. Anyone from the council? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passed, 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grove. Item 9, ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 2-36, precinct polling places of Lafourche Parish Code of Ordinances, changing the polling location for Ward 2, Precincts 1 and 1A to North Thibodaux Fire Company Number 1, and to further establish effective date of same and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Jones for administration, second by Councilman Adams. Anyone from the public like to comment on item 9? Second call, public input, item 9. Last and final call for anyone from the public wanting to comment on item 9. Anyone from the council? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grove. Item 10, ordinance approving a lease agreement between North Thibodaux Fire Company Number 1 and the Parish of Lafourche for leasing the premises located at 699 St. Patrick Highway, Thibodaux, Louisiana 70301, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Jones, second by Councilman Adams. Anyone from the public like to comment on item 10? Second call for public input on ordinance at item 10. Last and final call for public input on item 10. Anyone from the council wants to discuss this? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. The absence being Councilman Grove. Item 11, ordinance directing the renewal of a 1 8/10 1.8 mils ad valorem tax for a period of 10 years beginning with the year 2025 and ending with the year 2034 for the purpose of constructing, acquiring, improving, and maintaining lighting facilities on the streets, roads, highways, alleys, and public places in the rural areas of the parish, and paying the costs associated with abatement and or control of public nuisances in rural areas of the parish, such as the destruction and or disposal of abandoned properties and condemned buildings, provided that at least 60% of the annual proceeds of the tax shall be budgeted for public lighting purposes. Ms. Chesson will move on behalf of the administration, second by Councilman Adams. Would anyone from the public like to comment on item 11? Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name's Josie Lagarde. I live at 245 Sycamore. I'm just curious around, I guess, how does the parish manage the list of properties? Is it public anywhere? Can we nominate things on the list, move them up and down the list?
You can always engage your council person. Mr. President, you want to comment on that?
Hey, Colonel. So this is a rededication of the streetlight fundings and then maintaining the lighting at public facilities along streets and roadways. So we have a gigantic spreadsheet that has all the streetlights listed on it. that if you want a copy, we've been more than happy to send it to you.
We've got some damage down our streets.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to make sure they're on there and get an idea of when they're going to be fixed.
Okay.
Yeah, there is an online location. I don't know if y'all want to walk it through where it's at, or if someone wants to get it to her, but on the website, there's actually a location where you can actually submit a work order for
I just don't want
a
to
street
submit
light.
them over and over if they were. If I can just make sure they are, I'll be happy with that.
So Josie, are we talking streetlights or damaged properties?
Both.
Both, okay.
Yes, I live right behind the houses where the apartment
Was-
building.
That's on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been working with those guys.
I know they are, yes. But we've got streetlights too, and, you know, if we are going to renew the tax, I was just curious how we manage it, what that looks like.
Yeah, I'll walk you through it after the meeting if you
I
stick around.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for engaging us. Would anyone from the public like to, additionally, anyone wants to comment on item 11? Second call for public input, item 11. Last and final call, anyone who wants to comment on item 11. Anyone from the council? Mr. Lorraine?
Does this include Thibodeau, Golomette, and Lockport, or they're not included in this proposal?
Mr. President, you want to answer that?
I'd be lying to you if I said it was all three municipalities, and I'd know off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it's parish-wide, but I'd have to go back and double-check. The city of Thibodeau might not be.
If it's street lights, I know Golomette, they do their own. And I'm assuming Thibodeau does their own, and I don't know about Lockport, I'm sure they do too.
I'll go, I don't remember off the
If
top
it's
of my
street light, because I make the town meetings, and every now and then they got a light that comes up, but they do it on their own. They have their own separate millage.
Yeah, public nuisances too. Yep.
Because okay.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Any further discussion? There be none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, one absence, absence being Councilman Grow. And I think that brings me to the last ordinance. So I'll now entertain a motion to close public hearing. So moved by Councilman Jones, second by Councilman Arabi. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, one absence, absence being Councilman Grow. Item J, proposed ordinances. Ms. Deline, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you. Proposed ordinance number 12, establishing a four-way stop at the intersection of Petrel Drive and Julia Street, Raceland, Louisiana, Ward 4, District 6, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, installing a necessary four-way stop sign and providing penalties for the violations thereof. Mr. Terry Arabi. Proposed ordinance 13, rescinding ordinance number 6104 that approved a non-warranty cash sale agreement for property adjudicated to Lafourche Parish Government located on East 23rd Street, LaRose, Louisiana, 70373, assessment number 810-249-2401, for a minimum amount of $4,675, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Mr. Armin Otan for administration. 14, proposed ordinance abolishing the Drainage District Number 1, Drainage District Number 6, Fifth Ward Gravity Drainage District Number 5, Children and Youth Planning, and South Lafourche Beachfront Development District Boards within Chapter 34 of Lafourche Parish Code of Ordinances, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Mr. Adams for administration. 15, proposed ordinance declaring property as surplus belonging to Lafourche Parish government, authorizing the disposal of surplus property, authorizing the advertising of surplus items for sale, authorizing the acceptance of the highest qualified bidders, and any remaining items that are deemed to have no value will be properly discarded, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. 16, proposed ordinance granting a variance from Lafourche Parish subdivision regulations from Lot 1, not having 60 feet frontage in the division of the estate of Thomas and Ms. Sandra Lee, as recommended by Lafourche Parish Planning Commission at their May 25th, 2023 meeting. Mr. Melvin for administration. 17, proposed ordinance amending, reenacting Chapter 2, Article 3, Division 2, Section 2-96 of Lafourche Parish Code of Ordinances as it pertains to bylaws and operating procedure of the Parish Council Board appointments, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Mr. Otan for administration. 18, proposed ordinance providing for a 2023 supplemental appropriation 23-007 within the 2023 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget to set up a budget for the SCADA and control system, increase construction funds for investment earnings, and fix shortfalls within the budget, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Mr. Jerry Jones for administration.
Thank you very much, Ms. Deland. Item K, resolutions. Number 19, resolution requesting Louisiana Department of Health to consider reopening the South Lafourche Nursing Home under new ownership. So moved by Councilman Lorraine, second by Councilman Arabi. Any discussion? Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, I'd like to take a
If
minute.
you don't mind, let the record reflect at 18:05, Mr. Melvin stepped out the chambers.
I
Sorry.
just want to read this resolution because I don't know if y'all are familiar with nursing homes, but I just had a brother that was in there and he passed away, and Terry's mom was in there. And when you visit these things, it's amazing what you see. There's always some people going to say one's better than the other and whatever. But this is what I put together because we had a nursing home in South Lafourche, and there were some problems with the owner, but he's no longer around. They're supposed to want to sell this, and it would be under a different ownership. Okay, so let me read this. It says, whereas the reopening of the South Lafourche nursing home and new ownership would benefit the parish and the people of South Lafourche, and whereas this reopening would help people to go see and visit with their loved ones, so many times the patient need loved ones to visit to help in their healing and their day-to-day lives. And whereas the reopening would benefit the parish by putting people to work and in order to have a place close by to visit with their loved ones. And whereas this is needed and has always worked when we had it in operation, therefore be it resolved by the Lafourche Parish Council convened in regular session on June 13, 2023, that it does hereby request the Louisiana Department of Health to consider reopening the South Lafourche nursing home under new ownership. Be it further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution shall be forwarded to the Department of Health, Senator Mike Feasy, District 20, State Representative Joe Ogeron, District 54, State Representative Brian Fontenot, District 53, and the Office of the Parish President.
Very good.
That's it.
Any further discussion on this item? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion will pass with 7 yeas, 0 nays, one out of the room, that being Councilman Melvin, and one absent, that being Councilman Grow. Got it? Let the record reflect at 18:07, Councilman Melvin has re-entered the chambers. Brings us to item 20, resolution reappointing one member to Lafourche Parish Community Action Advisory Board, low-income representative, South Lafourche Region. Mr. Jones for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Jones?
Miss Angela Martz.
Miss Angela Morse, can I get a second? Second by Councilman Adams. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, the absence being Councilman Grove. Item 21, resolution approving an interagency agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Lafourche Parish Area Agency on Aging, Lafourche Council on Aging Incorporated, for referring citizens needing assistance and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and all relevant documents. Ms. Chesson will move on behalf for the administration, second by Councilman Adams. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, the absence being Councilman Grove. Item 22, resolution approving an agreement between the Office of Community Development and Lafourche Parish Government implementing grant funds under the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program through the Louisiana Recovery Programs and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Adams for the administration, second by Councilman Jones. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, the absence being Councilman Grove. Item 23, resolution approving the services of DRC Emergency Services LLC for contracted services relative to private property nuisance abatement of condemned structures to proceed with demolition and debris removal, 23-094.4, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any RF documents. Ms. Chesson will move on behalf of the administration, second by Councilman Jones. And with that said, we have an amendment from the floor.
Amendment,
Go ahead, Mr. Jones.
removing 205 Palmetto Street, Golden Meadow, and 1206 Catherine Street in Lockport.
So we have an amendment from the floor by Councilman Jones, removing those two locations, second by Councilwoman Chesson. Is everyone clear on the amendment? Anyone needs additional information on the amendment? If not, we'll bring that amendment to a vote. This is for the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passed 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grove. That brings us back to the original resolution as amended. Everyone clear on that? Anyone needs clarification? There being none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passed, 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grow. Brings us to item 24, resolution approving agreement between DRC Emergency Services LLC and Lafourche Parish Government for contracted services relative to disaster debris removal and recovery services, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Jones for the administration, second by Councilman Adams. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passed, 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grow. Item 25, resolution approving the recommendation from the Lafourche Parish Community Action Advisory Board to appoint Ali Corsoni for the position of Community Action Executive Director and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Jones for the administration, second by Councilwoman Chesson. Ali, would you like to get up and say anything? You're more than welcome to. If you don't mind, just state your name and address for the record.
Ali Crisoni, 311 4th Street, Lockport, Louisiana, 70374. I just wanted to take this time to thank the administration and to let everyone know that I'm very thankful for having this interim position for the last 6 months. It has taught me a lot as a person and professionally, and I would love to continue moving forward with the community, giving back what we need to as needed. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you very much. I appreciate working with everyone that I have thus far, and I hope I can continue to.
Thank you, Ali.
Thank you.
Anyone has any questions, wants to engage Ali? Mr. President?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really want to thank Allie for stepping up when Amanda left to go to work for Mayor Clemo in the city of Thibodaux. She's done an excellent job as the interim the last 6 months. I know she works a lot more with the parish administrator than me. I just stop and heckle her at her office every now and then, and with Councilman Jones and the advisory board. But she's done a hell of a job, and I'd appreciate your support and put her in there permanently. Thank you.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, I just want to do congratulations on this appointment. The board highly approved her, highly recommended her, and she did a great job. Ali, keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Lorraine?
Yeah, I just want to congratulate you on this, and I just find in the last year or so there's been a large turnover on directors, so I wish you luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Mr. Araby?
I just want to congratulate you too, Ally, on a job well done, girl. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you. Much appreciated. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes, 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grow. Congratulations, Ali. Item 26, resolution approving amendment number 3 to the agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and DRC Emergency Services LLC for contracted services relative to disaster debris removal and recovery services, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Windham for the administration, second by Councilman Araby. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passed, 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. The absence being Councilman Grow. Item 27, resolution approving amendment number 3 to the agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Widow O'Brien's LLC for contracted services relative to monitoring of disaster-generated debris removal, management, and technical assistance, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Wendell for the administration, second by Councilman Araby. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grow. Item 28, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office, Lafourche Parish Clerk of Court, and the 17th Judicial District Court for security at the courthouse and courthouse annex in Thibodaux for the 2023 year, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Melvin will move on Mr. Grow's behalf for the administration, second by Councilman Wendell. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 7 yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention, that being Councilman Wendell, and 1 absence, that being Councilman Grow. Good, Ms. Carlene? All right. Item 29, resolution approving amendment number 1 to the agreement between the Louisiana Workforce Commission, Office of Workforce Development, and Lafourche Parish Council, Office of Community Action for the Community Services Block Grant, fiscal year 2023, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Jones to the administration, second by Councilman Adams. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes, 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grow. Item 30, resolution supporting the application being submitted to the FHWA Recreational Trails Program for Louisiana by the Friends of E.D. White Historic Site for the E.D. White Historic Site Trails Project, walking, paddling, and discovering, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Adams for the administration, second by Councilwoman Chesson. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes, 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grow. Item 31, resolution approving an agreement between Ashbridge Incorporated and Lafourche Parish Government for contracted services relative to disaster debris removal and recovery services, and authorize the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any other relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Councilman Adams. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passed, 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grow. I'm not. Some of this is some twisted word stuff. Item 32, resolution approving an agreement between Tetra Tech Incorporated and Lafourche Parish Government for contracted services relative to monitoring of disaster-generated debris removal, management, and technical assistance, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any other relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for administration, second by Councilman Adams. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes, 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. The absence being Councilman Grow. Item 33 has already been voted on. Item 34, last resolution, approving a cooperative purchasing agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and LACPC Joint Commission for the purchase of 2 ILF Aspen 143 horsepower heavy-duty utility tractor and accessories for the Department of Public Works, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any other relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Wendell for the administration, second by Mr. Araby. Any discussion? Mr. Lorraine.
Where the funding's coming from for this?
Anyone has readily available funding source? Mr. President?
It doesn't say on here.
Oh, the utility trailers, it's coming from the road sales tax districts.
Road sales tax district?
Yes, sir.
Eh?
Mostly 2 probably, but yeah.
It's not combined yet.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Mr. President, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passed, 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. The absence being Councilman Grow. Item L, motion. Number 35, I'm going to entertain a motion to appoint the Daily Comment as an official journal for Lafourche Parish Council for the period from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 at the rate of $5.50 per square of 100 words. Can I have a motion? Motion by Ms. Chesson, second. Can I get a second? Can I get a second? Second by Councilman Jones. Discussion. So I did reach out to the district attorney after our last meeting and told me that some of y'all are going to be going to jail. So, so it's a little difficult to know who enforces it, but it would be a violation of what's required by state statute. So with that said, Mr. Araby.
Well, we voted it down last round, and with us voting it down, I think the administration went to work and saved us a couple of $1,000, like $20,000 something dollars, Hadn't we done that, maybe that wouldn't have happened. So I guess I'll support it tonight.
Got it. Any further discussion? If not, we're going to bring this to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, say nay. Okay, so we got 1 nay, Mr. Lorraine. And 1 abstention, Mr. Adams. All right, so the motion is going to pass with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yays, 1 nay, that nay being Councilman Lorraine, 1 abstention, that abstention being Councilman Adams, and 1 absent, that absent being Councilman Grow.
Thank you so very
Good?
much.
Whew. Okay, we good for another year. But we'll reemphasize, it's a total waste of taxpayer money. Absolutely total waste. Unbelievable. That's state statute. And the lobbyist group for that group is really powerful in Baton Rouge, unfortunately. Item M, Parish President, Department Heads, Directors, or Managers' Reports, Presentations, and our Updates. Item 36, Department of Public Works Representative to present a report. Mr. Barone, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. As always, with the Thibodeau Field Office, this is Cherry Drive, swept outfall. Lake McLean, reconstructed drainage ditch. Power line outfall, swept outfall. Verdon Lane, swept roadside ditches. Moving to the Choctaw Field Office, the Meadow Subdivision, swept roadside ditches. Remy Pump Station is the installation of a portable pump. This is a pump that was purchased through LGAP funding in 2020, which was a grant. And you can see it's helpful when we have a broken pump to get that one repaired. Big cost savings on a rental as well. This is the Chack Bay North Levee Clean Borough Canal. By a Bluefield office now, Peanut Lane, installed driveway culvert. Swept roadside ditches. Silver Creek Drive, clean culverts. Canal Lane, swept roadside ditches. And also clean the culverts. Peanut Lane and Lafourche Bypass Road, the drainage ditch there, swept ditch. Moving to Raceland Field office is the Ronnie Robichaux outfall, dug outfall. Magnolia Street, replaced cross culvert. Supercharged Drive drainage ditch, swept ditch. Mitchell Road, repair potholes. Louisiana Street, swept roadside ditches. Danton Street, swept roadside ditches. The Zalman's Pump Reservoir, removed down trees from reservoir. And if you see in the right photo, we found those 2 old signs, so we're going to replace those as well, because you can't really read them. Moving to the Lockport Field offices, Pecan Street and Gaines, replaced collapsed driveway culvert, and we also removed the landscape culverts from that residence area. Bayou Crossing outfall, swept outfall. New Haven Street, replaced collapsed driveway culvert. Clotilda outfall, swept outfall. This is part of a bigger project that we did just over a year ago. We couldn't get in there because the farmer had some cane there, but he's ready to replant the cane, so he called us and we went back out and finished the project. Moving to the Galliana Field office is the Cote Blanche Bridge, repaired counterweight. East 23rd Street, removed the fallen tree. East 67th Street, replaced collapsed driveway culvert. West 13th Street, installed the driveway culvert. West 106th Street, swept roadside ditches. Jody Roos outfall, installed culverts. As far as the work completed by the maintenance contractor, this is the 400 block of Highland Oaks, repaired broken curbing. And you see we did that in a few places in the subdivision. Also the 200 block of Highland Oaks. And the 300 block of Highland Oaks. This is Melanie Street, repaired a driveway. Gaines Library, repaired broken catch basins. This is also the parking lot for the library. North Cedar Street, repaired driveway. North Carroll on Highway 1 in Lockport, constructed conflict box. When we opened this up, the edge of the road was failing, and when we opened it up, you could see where the water line's passing. There was no culvert at that intersection. Somebody had just put a plate on the top of it, so it was a road, and the road was failing into it, so we had to take action on it. One of the biggest projects completed by the maintenance contract over the last month is West 11th Street drainage improvements. This is something that's been going on for a long time, and it was finally completed. Some more pictures of West 11th. And then the concrete culvert on the left is what passes under Avenue G. A lot of big infrastructure there. As far as the work completed over the last month, in the Department of Public Works, there were 4 permanent servitudes acquired, 1 major subdivision inspection, and 3 property redivision reviews. 23 culvert permits and 3 fence permits were issued. There were 281 work requests received. 99 permits were reviewed for compliance. 1 right-of-way was recently dededicated, which was on the council agenda tonight. As far as engineering projects, we currently have 26 projects in the design phase, 10 projects under construction, 1 project that is out for bid, and 2 projects that have been completed. And Ms. Lorraine brought up at the last meeting about some vacancies, so just to be completely transparent, these are the vacant positions in DPW. At the field office, we currently have 18 total vacancies. You can see the breakdown by field office. Thibodeau Field Office has 4. Raceland Field Office has 4. Choctaw Field Office has 1. Galliana Field Office has 4. Lockport Field Office has 5. And Bayou Blue Field Office is completely staffed with 0 vacancies. And as far as DPW's office staff, we currently have 5 vacancies. We are hiring for the total 18 vacancies on the field office staff. As far as the office staff, we are managing with the people we have, so we are not currently looking for anybody. And with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you. Questions? Mr. Wendell, you have the floor.
I saw the curb stuff in Highland Oaks. I know last month at a certain point in time, we actually closed the road because of a street failure. Has that been resolved? I know it's back open, but is it completely?
Street failure has been resolved, and I'm not sure if you know the full story, but I'll make it quick. When the gas company went in there and bored a gas line, they punctured a culvert. And because back then roads were built with a sand base, all of that sand ended up in the culvert, ended up washing away over numerous rains events, and it failed. So not only did we have a road to fix, we had a road, subsurface drainage, and coordination with a utility company. Of course, the culvert was a special size and had to be ordered, so that's why the long lead time took place. And then to add to the curbing, we did figure out back and forth why this keeps happening. If you notice when they built that subdivision, there's no expansion joints from the driveway to the curb. So the house isn't gonna move. If anything's gonna move, it's gonna be the curb. So when that driveway expands and contracts, it pops all the curbs. If you notice, all the curbs are failing at the driveways. There's very few
At the driveway,
curbings failed
mailbox.
in between driveways. So that's the issue that's happening there. And we don't know how to, it's one more thing government can regulate, but we don't know how to regulate that just yet.
Has it been repaved and everything, or is it rock?
It should be repaved.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Melvin?
Yes, Dylan, thanks for Dwight. They fixed that patch pretty good. I don't know if it was y'all or the gas.
Perfect. They did not coordinate with that with us, but we'll check it.
Good. Been fighting with a street light out at East Windsor. I'm going to email you on that.
Okay.
Verdon Street, when I saw the picture, that ditch looked pretty steep and deep, like road edge that much. That far, I don't know if that was the beginning of the street, side street, front, back. It looked really deep, like road might erode now. So, I mean, does it have to be that deep?
So we didn't change any culverts on that street, so we went to the original culvert inverts. And you'll see on some of the older streets, whenever you go to the original culvert invert, they didn't build it with 50 feet of right-of-way. They might only have 30 feet of right-of-way, so to fit a street, utilities, and the ditch, sometimes that's what it has to be. Obviously, I wish we could go back, hit the reset button, get 20 extra feet of right-of-way and do it the right way, but we're
Yeah,
kind of
just-
confined.
Numbers are numbers. I don't care if it's finance, engineering. I mean, look at the Egyptians. My whole point is, if you got a ditch that deep and steep, to get it back to some original standards, we don't have the right of way to have the slope. If it's too steep, you could be looking at road erosion or just fluffing or, God.
And I tell you, just from my time here, on a lot of those older streets, the road base is so packed that the road does hold. How long it holds for, nobody knows the answer to that, but.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
All right. Ms. Chasson?
Hey, Dylan.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
3.5 years ago when I got in here, West 11th Street was the one I was getting slammed for. So thank y'all for getting on that.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know there's been a few people upset about the size of the ditch. It's huge. But my understanding is the big rains we had a few weeks back that did relieve their flooding issues that they were having. Mr. Boudreaux, Mr. Reggie.
Yeah,
Yes.
we are hearing good reports. Obviously, there's always negative reports that come with anything we do, but I think it's helped. I think it's beneficial. There's more to do. We know that. We understand that. We're just working for more funding to try to find more
Correct.
potential solutions
I mean,
in that
we're
area.
getting there. The 400 block, were you able to check on those right-of-ways?
I
for
did.
me?
We did not get to sit down and look at that today,
Okay.
but it is on our radar. We'll hopefully get you an answer this week.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And I'm pretty sure we looked at that. I'm almost positive we don't have a right of way, but I do want to get the paperwork in front of us just to confirm.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any further questions, Ms. Lorraine?
Yes, on West 159, Mr. Verdun, that's 2 requests I sent in, driveway cover. It needs to be replaced. It's all rotten, and then I was told that by him. The people at the barn went check it, and that's what they said. So I just recently sent in another request, so that'd be 2, and I hope we can get it done.
Yeah, I don't see any
Because
issue with that.
he's worried about somebody getting hurt.
So I spoke to Mr. Verdun this week, Daniel.
You did?
Troy sent Wayne out there, I think yesterday, to take a look at it. So
I'll check with the field office and see what's their time frame and
Okay.
relay it back to you.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be done by the next meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Yeah, Mr. Lafourche, quick question. Last week, did you get any calls on waiving for the drainage?
No, sir.
All right, didn't think so. Rain, we had a hard rain, but it drained pretty good. Bus stop, Waverly bus stop.
No movement on that. I'll poke them again, see if we got an answer. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
All right, and the alert bump, rumble strips.
They're tentatively planned to be installed this Thursday or Friday, but end of this week, they said weather permitting and there are other jobs in line. If they don't, they're planning for next week. So I'll keep you posted. We'll have to post the notice the drivers in the area. They won't close the road, but it'll be one-way traffic only while they install it, so we'll let you know when that comes up.
All right.
Hopefully this week.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
And we're
Mr.
still waiting on
Jones.
an update from Energy to install a meter, because they have to install a meter so the lights can go on those poles. But as soon as we get some movement from Energy, I'll let you know on that.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for all I've been getting peppered with all these state issues, right-of-ways and drainage and all that, so thank you for helping pursue that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you all.
All right, brings us to item N, questions for the administration. Mr. Araby.
Mr. Chasson. Had one of my constituents come up tonight and talk to you about street lights and derelict structures and everything else, and I appreciate her coming to our meeting tonight and bringing that up. But as you know and you said, we are definitely working on all the derelict structures we can attack. I know we removed 2 tonight, so I got a couple of them. I can put them on the list for you if you like, But the street lights. I know at one time Energy was kind of hitting it hard, but it looked like they're kind of slacking again for some reason. We got street lights again all over the place throughout the whole parish. In my district, I speak to Mark on a regular basis about street lights. I know she has several in her area, down her street, and the other couple, 4 or 5 streets in that area, and I got several in the racing community, different places. So is there any kind of way we can either have another meeting with these guys, or maybe you can talk to them and put a little pressure on them, try to get some street lights? Repair people down here, and they say one guy down here, or now and then they'll send 2, and they got to come from a guy tells me it takes them an hour to get here and an hour to get back home, so he's only working 4, 5, 6 hours a day.
Mr. President?
It's been a few weeks since we got an update from Paula, so I'll get a good one from her and then ask them to come to the next council meeting and give us a good update as to where they are.
I mean, I guess they're getting done what they can get done, but I'm just kind of looking for a way of trying to speed them up a little faster, so that because I'm sure we're paying for them, but they're not lit.
Yeah. So we still short paying them because we know they're not 100% working.
I got one they came work on. It worked for a little while. It went out, and it's been a couple of months now, and it's still out. So, and I got several like that, Mayor. So I appreciate what you can do for us. Thank you.
I'll comment that I've had some high incident locations where there were some safety issues if I didn't get them done right away. So I sent a specific request, said this is a priority, and they've taken care of them. And each time it was they're going to catch them on their way back up. So I think they're working really hard, either in Fouchon or Grand Isle or somewhere. And the guy catches at some of these major intersections where I have lights on. I'm having a lot of incidents. Anyway, Councilman Melvin.
Just more derelict structures between, I'd like to really have them looked at between David, Constant, and Lade. Thank you.
Okay, whatever that means. I know we have some big ones. We all have some big. I have City Place apartments, so we all have some big structures. Mr. Jones.
That's not a question. Just want to thank you, Archie, as the parish president, and your administration for something that I've been dreaming about for the last few years, the Head Start, Recreation, and Community Center combined, and look like it's going to come to the light. So I just want to appreciate all the work and effort y'all did.
Mr. President.
Mr. Chairman, if I can, I just want to, unless anybody else has got a question, I just want to run through a couple of things. Mr. Jones is right. Huge win for us this year in capital outlay, working with a delegation. $7.6 million for Butch Hill, which is a new pump station, consolidated with Twin Oaks going out behind the hospital. The rest of the fully funded money from the state, the $9 million for the airport access bridge that we're doing with the Port Commission and US DOTD. And thanks to Senator Ed Price, we got $500,000 in planning money in cash for a new Head Start Community Center at Heroes Park. So the property the parish bought across the street. I know Brooke just walked out, but it'll combine the 3 Head Start sites in Thibodaux into a brand new complex. And then there's $4.5 million in trailing money that's in P5 for next year. That if we get it designed, we can go to hopefully bid on a new center next year. So I really want to thank Ed Price. Senator Fazy and Representative Fontenot were able to get us about $200,000 to clear out some canals for some drainage work in the North Central and South Lafourche areas. We have about $150 million this year that was approved in the annual plan for coastal work. $5 million of that is 2 pump stations in Councilman Adams' district in Sugar Ridge. And where's the one that's in the guy's driveway? The tractor pump. We'll talk about it after. But there's 2 in Chack Bay. There's $38 million for some marsh creation work in Councilman Chesson's district on the backside or the east side of the parish, outside the levee system, and then a bunch of work out of Port Fouchon. We were able to get, and I know Mr. Plaisance talked about it earlier tonight, the elevated boardwalk. We were able to get the Forever's Outdoor grant We got moved on to the full application process, so that's due at the end of July. So Megan and CZM is working really hard on that one, as well as with the parish, in working with GIS Engineering, filed an application for that same grant program to build some fishing pier sites along the old LA1 between the south side of the bridge going toward Fouchon. I think there's 6 or 7 locations. So that application was asked to move on to the full application as well. So I want to thank Jacob and those guys for working on that. Mr. Araby, so you know I did meet with the sheriff last week. He did say that based on the traffic reports that the speed humps were working in particular areas. So we processed a PO for the rest of your speed humps and the ones for Councilman Adams in his district. So once we get those on, we'll continue to work through the list. I know Mr. Jones and a lot of you have other traffic studies that are coming across. So as we finish those, we will do that. And I think that's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.